Hey everybody, welcome to Cherry Wayne. It's me, Mary, and today I have a tutorial where I'm going to be showing you how to make these gorgeous beaded spiders. And you might be thinking, well, it's a little late. Halloween is just a couple days away. However, these ornamental spiders you can keep all year. They're just beautiful. I mainly use glass beads or ceramic beads for mine. However, what some people might not know and what's interesting is there is a legend about a Christmas spider. And so I thought now would be a great time to put out this tutorial in case you would like to make yourself a Christmas spider. So I'm going to read off my tablet here and just tell you about the legend of the Christmas spider. So the legend itself is that a family, often a widow and her children, lack the money to decorate their Christmas tree. So the spider's secret work is the spiders, seeing the family's sad wish for a beautiful tree, spin their webs all over it while the family sleeps on Christmas Eve. The next morning, sunlight hits the webs, turning them into shimmering gold and silver tinsel. The family is overjoyed and the spider becomes a symbol of good luck. Many cultures, especially in Ukraine, now hang a spider ornament on their Christmas tree to bring good fortune for the coming year. So, I just think that that is very sweet and very nice, and I feel like even if you don't celebrate Christmas, again, you can just keep a nice spider up for good luck. So let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this beautiful beaded spider. So let's get into the materials you'll need. You will need some 20 gauge wire. You can get any color you want. This is rose gold or light pink coated color wire. You can get silver, gold, copper, and then they also have other colors. It's not going to be shown a lot in this project, so the color doesn't really matter, but you can have some fun with that. It usually comes like this, wound up, and you'll have more than enough, but you will need about 20 inches or so to get through the project. Let's talk about the tools that you'll need. Some of them are optional. So we have some different jewelry pliers here. The most essential for this project is some wire cutters. All of these you can find on Amazon or at your local craft store. So I would just look and see which one has the best deal, because sometimes at the craft store you can get a coupon. But we'll do the wire cutters. Now you'll need some round nose pliers, but you don't have to have these specialty ones. These are bail making pliers, but the reason I like to use these is because this has 6 different heads on it, and you can make 6 different sizes of loops, and they'll all be uniform. So for this project I use the smallest size here, but this isn't an essential tool, it's just nice to have. I would just get a standard round nose plier of some sort, and if you want to make sure it's uniform, you can mark the pliers with a Sharpie or something like that. And then some needle nose pliers will be great as well, just in case you have to do some added shaping. You want this flat edge here to help you do that. So those are the pliers we'll need, and then we'll get into the beads. Now, this spider is going to be using different materials than the one I'm going to use for the tutorial. I've done this on purpose because I just wanted to show you the variety of ways that you can make these spiders. So I want you to just have fun and be creative with it, and either use what you have, or when you're purchasing things, you don't have to be so dead set on what I'm using. You can just get what inspires you. So for the beads, we have seed beads. This color is Canadian white, so it's more basically like a clear color bead. And the only thing you'll need to look at with these is at least a size 10 or larger, because you want to make sure that the beads will fit on your 20 gauge wire. And if you are confused on the sizing for seed beads, you can just Google which sizes would be best or bigger, but at least a size 10, because that will fit on your 20 gauge wire. And then for this tutorial, I'm going to be using these bugle beads. These are a 19 gauge. Now they have some that have different lengths and different sizes. So you can, again, mix and match these as much as you want. I also have these here, which are a 19 gauge as well. And these are the clear glass ones that you see here. The only other thing that's different from this one than the one I'm going to make now is there's these 6mm clear glass beads. I won't be using those in this tutorial, but again, that's just because I want to show you the differences between what you can make and the fun options that you have. But if you wanted to get some 6mm beads to put in between your other ones, you're more than welcome to do so. Let's talk about the spider's body. So just a general, you could get a 8mm bead and a 10mm bead. You just want a bead that's smaller and one that's larger. This one here is an 8mm and a 12mm bead. Again, that just shows you the different variety of things you can do. I prefer to work with glass or ceramic beads as much as I can. This one is just a fake pearl, but this red one is a glass bead. I have a variety of different sizes and colors in my stash, but I've just paired together some that I think would be pretty. Head pins are an optional material that you can use. I like to use these to make the spider's body. However, you could just use the wire that we've already had here. This one is a hardened wire though, and so structurally it just kind of holds up better, and it has this nice finished edge. So that's up to you if you want to purchase some additional head pins. And then O-rings are also an option, but not necessary. You could technically make them out of that 20 gauge wire, although the 20 gauge wire is not going to be very strong, so I wouldn't recommend it. But this would just be if you want to use it for hanging on things and stuff like that. It will already have a loop in it, so you could use that loop to attach it to things if you wanted, but I like to use the O-ring here. You can wear this as a pendant, you can hang it from other string in a window, which is what I do. You can make earrings with them. There's a lot of different options here. So let's go ahead and get started. There's a lot of different ways to go about making this, so you just have to choose what you prefer. I like to put my beads on here first. Now if the hole for this big bead is too big for this head pin, just use a smaller bead first before placing your large bead on. And so we'll have something that looks like this. Now I use my finger as a guide for how long to cut this, but you're gonna trim this just enough so that you can make your loop. And as I said, I'm gonna use these pliers here to do that. So now wear glasses or just cut this very carefully. Sometimes it goes flying, so I'm gonna do this loop here. Okay, so now that we've got that made, you want to just make sure wherever you place your loop here, there's some space in between these beads, because we're now going to add the legs. Some people do a bead, then the legs, then the bead, and then they make their loop, but I just find it easier and less finicky to do it this way. So now we have our little body. We're going to set that aside for a second. And you can measure this if you want to. I just don't really care to measure it ever. But if you've not made one before, then I would definitely recommend measuring. So essentially what's going to happen here is this one length of wire is going to be 2 legs. And spiders have 8 legs. So we're going to cut 4 of these. 5 inches will give you more than enough length, but you'd rather have too much than not enough your first go around. So you're just going to cut 4 lengths of your wire. Okay, now that we have our 4 lengths of wire cut, we are gonna hold them all grouped up together, and we're gonna start folding them in half until we get this little teardrop shape, and then we're gonna get our little spider body, and we're gonna settle the wires up against that base wire, and we're just gonna twist these in between those 2 beads. You want to try to get that as tight as you can. Make sure they're all bending around the wire. And if you need to go in with your needle nose and help it out a little bit, you can do that. But this is what it looks like on this side, and this is how it looks on this side. I like to continue my wrap just a little bit further. It just helps really hold those down really good. And this is what the base looks like here, and it also just gives you more room to splay out the legs, and then it also just keeps things from moving around so much. So you will want to splay out your legs. So we can get an idea of what's going on here. And now we're going to get our seed beads and our bugle beads out so that we can finish this up. Now, because there's so many ways to go about doing this, again, the way that I put the beads on and I make my legs, you can do it any way that you want to, so just have fun with it. So we'll just keep in mind that this is just one example, because even the legs here on this one are going to be different than this one here. Okay, so we're going to start with our seed beads, which are our smaller beads. And for this spider's legs, I'm going to put 2 seed beads, a bugle bead, 2 more seed beads. So basically when we're making this leg, we want to have little joints in it, which is what the seed beads are for, so that we can kind of bend it a little bit. And then I'm gonna put 2 seed beads, a bugle bead, 2 seed beads, another bugle bead, another seed bead, another seed bead. And this is the point where you can look at your spider and see, do you want it to have another repeat? Do you like the legs the length that they are? It also depends on how much room you have left on your wire here. But if you feel like they're too short, you can always just cut new wire and redo it. I like the 2 like this, the 2 bugle beads there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this leg, and again, just because I know that the length of my finger is an appropriate measurement, I'm going to trim this down, and I'm going to come in with my pliers on the smallest setting and make a loop. Now my loops are quite large comparatively to how some people finish theirs off for their spider. You can make these loops really, really tiny, which you can do with these round nose pliers here because they're a lot smaller. So that part is just up to personal preference. So you can see that I've bent it. You can bend these any way you want to. So I'm going to come back in. I'm just going to follow that same pattern for all 8 legs. So we'll do 2 seed beads. You can move your wire around so it'll nestle in there nicely. A bugle bead. 2 seed beads. My nails are longer than they usually are, so if you need to use some tweezers or something to help you pick up these beads, I'd highly recommend that as well, but sometimes I like to make my life harder for no reason. It's just a trait I have. So once we get this last one on here, which of course is giving me a hard time, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to measure this, cut that down. Again, be careful of your eyeballs when you're doing this because the wires can go all over the place, and if you have pets or kids or something, you'll definitely want to be careful when you're cutting wire and make sure it's not on the floor and stuff. You don't have to bend the legs yet, but I like to just bend them as I get them done so I can visualize it. So I'm going to finish these other legs and I'll show you the final result. And here we have beautiful beaded spider. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with and all your beautiful spiders you make.